Conventional medicine touts itself as science, which is borne out by cursory examination. Highly technical diagnostic machinery and intricate surgical procedures bear mute witness to this claim. However, will drawing back the curtain, so to speak, to take a closer look, reveal a different picture? For any discipline to be regarded as scientific, it must embrace open questions, by which I mean from any source. All science uses theory, or sets of ideas to explain observed facts. These ideas spring from the minds of humans who are not omniscient. They err. This observation applies to all theories, great and small, axiomatic within a given discipline, that is, foundational or otherwise. All mechanisms to correct these errors begin with questions. Every scientist understands this. Every scientist also understands that all their treasured theories have undetermined shelf lives, as inevitably, someone will ask enough questions and thereby uncover enough answers to formulate a new theory that better explains the facts, often building on the old, but inescapably relegating old favorite explanations to the dustbin of history. This process does not alter the facts, it merely frames the nature of theory. As Stephen Jay Gould once observed, Einstein's theory of gravitation replaced Newton's, but apples did not suspend themselves in midair pending the outcome. This passing of the torch has economic consequences, and therefore is often met with resistance, but you cannot have science without inviting questions. Lots of them. Dogmas, on the other hand, discourage questions. They use doctrine to explain observed fact, demanding that you accept said doctrine as divine inspiration to cement its truth. Within the inner ranks of a dogmatic organization, there may be active debate as to the meaning of doctrine, which upon consensus among the learned few is then relayed to all other devotees. But this debate is decidedly not an open forum. Unless you belong to the inner circle, yours is not to question. Dogma is unsurprisingly the principle, for example, behind most, if not all, organized religions. Humans created conventional medicine, whose axioms were born of human inspiration, not divine. Therefore, it is not unthinkable, indeed it is highly probable, that the humans who created the conventional medical model also erred. A quick glance at the third leading cause of death in the United States will confirm this suspicion. Iatrogenesis, or death by medical error, claims 250,000 lives annually in the USA alone. I suspect that many of those deaths are due to application error, in other words, malpractice, but it raises the question: how many errors born of theory, even core theory, inevitably lead to premature death? So, is conventional medicine science? Does it, as a discipline, welcome critical questioning? Well, certainly it entertains, even encourages to a degree, debate from within its own ranks, doctors. But what of questions from non-doctors? Is it necessary to receive a medical degree before questioning any aspect of accepted medical theory? Now, it is likely that procedural questions presuppose extensive specialized knowledge, and that such questions, from the untrained, could be considered impertinent and a waste of time to even attempt to answer. So, conceding those, how about questions of a more broad, sweeping nature? Is it acceptable to question conventional medical axioms, to question the foundations upon which the theory rests? For example, Pasteur's germ theory of disease, genetic causes of disease, contagion vectors, the virus. Would anyone invested in conventional medicine even pause to listen? If the answers are no, and they would not, then from my perspective, medicine is more dogma than science, and the only hope of advancing the effectiveness of conventional healthcare then rests on the consciences of those doctors willing to risk biting the hand that feeds them. There's not much point in holding your breath for that. So I hope my suspicions are incorrect, and conventional medicine is open to questions from outsiders. I present the following for consideration. In conventional parlance, God and nature, as in Mother Nature, are commonly used interchangeably when referring to the mechanisms of biology. Even scientists who otherwise avoid theology in dealing with matters scientific concede that living things have a nature, or put another way, that Mother Nature guides at least their unconscious actions. Instinctive behavior, for example, is an aspect of this mechanism. A predator hunts because that is its nature, or in other words, nature has endowed this animal with the tools and drive to hunt. Likewise, she has endowed its prey with the tools and drive to flee. It is widely accepted that a core responsibility of nature is to ensure survival. Since all living beings must kill to survive, this is a zero-sum game, but it seems clear that she has maximized each creature's survival potential within the limitations of its flesh, so that whatever death does ensue is simply the cost of keeping the game healthy. Design flaws are not welcome here, and indeed would have removed any such unfortunates from this arena long ago. Notwithstanding the altogether impoverished common definitions of the concept of God, substituting God for Mother Nature in the above example is at best a trivial change. Little, if any, meaning is lost by claiming that God endowed predators with the tools and drive to hunt. Clearly, the animal possesses such. Who or what actually did the endowing, and whether we are able to comprehend the process, does not alter that fact. And yet, the conventional medical model would have you believe that God/nature constantly makes mistakes. There's a general consensus by medical experts on the following. Allergies result when harmless substances are mistaken for dangerous invaders, eliciting inflammation as a defensive reaction by a confused immune system. The genetic viability of female eggs diminishes over time, resulting in errors in cell division. In other words, God/nature is responsible for a design flaw that increasingly results in Down syndrome in her children while in utero as the mother ages. Autoimmune diseases occur when the body either misprograms genes or attacks itself, although why it should do so or how this would benefit the individual remains unspecified. Pancreatitis is the result of improperly activated digestive enzymes, which set about digesting the pancreas. Oops. Mental illness is among the least understood of all diseases. Genes are a front-runner in the search for a culprit, pointing once more to a design flaw on the part of God/nature, as the efficacy of our primary tool for survival, our intellect, is compromised, often severely. Cystic fibrosis is characterized by thick, sticky mucus, formed by a defective gene in a transmembrane regulator protein that makes breathing difficult, among other things, culminating in premature death. Diseases of the central nervous system, MS, Parkinson's, ALS, etc., seem to invoke a blanket question mark. Nobody seems to understand much, if anything, about why they occur, only that the body is somehow broken. Genes, once again, head the list of possible causes. The symptoms of these dreaded diseases are catastrophic in their effect, often leading to death, which immediately raises the question of why Mother Nature, whose apparent core job it is to ensure the survival of the species, saw fit to so cruelly disadvantage roughly 1 in 1,000 people as part of her survival strategy. There are other examples, but hopefully my point is made. That these conditions exist is fact. Why they exist is where theory comes into play. If you embrace the conventional medical explanation of disease, you must also either concede that God/Mother Nature is neither omniscient nor omnipotent, but instead is often seemingly selectively incompetent, and unable to rectify errors much like the rest of us, or, failing that, is unwilling to do so, which is just plain cruel. Do those descriptions fit into your definition of God/nature? They don't mine. Perhaps conventional theory is wrong. Perhaps there are logical reasons why these facts occur that don't require the descriptors confused, defective, flawed, error, mistake, and oops. Perhaps when seen in another light, these maladies actually make sense. Actually are justifiable as a rational life strategy that unfortunately, due to the particular circumstances modern people have created for themselves, has gone off the rails. Does this possibility intrigue you? Would you like to learn more? For those of you who answered yes, I invite you to read my book, and thank you for your interest.